Hi, I'm Diane Dayton, and we're coming to you from the 33rd Annual Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest here in Reading, Pennsylvania. This is opening night. It runs the 5th of April through the 14th the following Sunday. And boy, right now, I'm so excited to be sitting here with saxophonist and flautist extraordinaire.
Yes.
Yes. Najee,
Yes.
thank you for taking time.
Thank you.
You have so much going on. You've been making music for decades, and people just love you.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Because you have fun on stage, too, with what you
Oh,
do.
yeah, absolutely.
And you bring the audience with you.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Yes.
Some of the things that just happened recently, you received the U.S. Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award.
That's correct.
Was
yes.
that last year?
It was last year, I think in May, I believe April or May last
Okay.
year, yeah. And, you know, they had their representatives come and present me with the award and, you know, all that. So, you know, it wasn't something I was expecting. You just never know who's watching, you know. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with this ceremony, I mean, this means a lot.
Yeah, it does. What can I say? I mean, I think it's really just due to some of the outside things outside of music, you know, that I do with education and things like that, you know, young people, so.
And that's key.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, over the years, you know, when invited, I'll go to schools, mainly with young people. I've mentored some young people who have gone on to get their education. One of my students, two of my students, one, she's currently playing with the big artist Lizzo. She's a saxophonist and flautist, but I started with her when she was like 13.
Wow.
Another young man by the name of Ellis Hamilton, I started with him when he was 13, and now he's had his first #1 album on Billboard, Smooth Jazz Radio, so he's doing very well. And so I've seen these kids kind of grow. I guess because my children didn't really get into music, it's kind of my way of thinking. So that's two examples, you know. They both had full rides. One went to the new school in New York. The other one graduated from Berkeley 4 years ago. Ellis did.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just things like that. And you just never know. People just pay attention. Sometimes you don't even know they're watching, you know. So.
And you're just doing what you do out of
Exactly.
your heart. And
Well, that's how it happened for me. You know, growing up in New York, my brother who's here, Fareed, we grew up in a community where people took the time. You know, we grew up in a community that people, we were fortunate to go to places like Jazzmobile, which at the time was a federally funded program in New York City. And then for us, we always had people who were willing to help us along, give us great advice. Even important people in the industry. I remember as a young student, Roy Ayers.
Yes.
You know, which is funny because Roy doesn't remember any of this. Because I confronted him with it a couple of years ago. I was like, Roy, you don't remember these two kids used to be hanging around you asking for advice, and you would just share everything there was about the industry at that time. But he didn't realize that he actually planted a seed that helped us kind of navigate through this industry that we're in, you know.
Wow.
Oh, he's one of them, but we've had several. You know.
Yeah. And you're literally paying it forward, passing it on.
You know, I don't think of it that way. You know, it's really just doing what we do because it just feels good. It makes sense, and it's what we do. It gives to people that deserve it. You know, all they need is just like we did, an opportunity to just be able to have somebody who has done it. You know, say this is the way, like we did with Jimmy Heath and other people that were in our community.
You're very attuned to it.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, a multi-platinum selling artist. I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. The Art of Elegance.
Art of Elegance. Wow.
Savoir-faire.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, it was a covert record, to be honest with you. And, you know, during that time, there wasn't a whole lot of touring. We did some dates here and there,
Right.
but I was home a lot. So I called up my friends, and people were just sending material. And really, it's just a hodgepodge of stuff that we did during that period of time. You know, we had Allison Williams, who's going to be on the show with us tonight. She sang one of the popular songs, Valentine Love, which was a big hit in the 70s with Norman Connors and Michael Henderson. And Michael Henderson, who wrote the song, he reached out to me just before he passed, you know, thanking me for the arrangement we did, you know,
nice.
with her version of it. And, you know, I was able to do some things in Brazil, you know, with a friend of mine that down with some Brazilian musicians. So we have two songs actually, on that record that were recorded in Brazil with Brazilian musicians and stuff. So.
Happiness?
Happiness, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, felicidade, as they say
Yeah.
in Portuguese. Yeah.
Oh,
So that was a
nice.
beautiful track. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we talk about how grateful you are
Oh, sure.
for a lot of things, and being able to follow your passion and create music
Sure.
that speaks to people and the way that it does. How do you create good music? Where does that come from, Najee?
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. No, really, I think collaborations,
Okay.
that brings me a lot of, because if I can write. I've written some of my biggest songs I've written. My brother has written with me.
Okay.
But, at some point, the formula, you start to feel like it's formulaic. It becomes redundant. So reaching out with other people and collaborating with them and, letting them express their ideas through you has been a great help, for me. And, I really believe that saying that musicians, we don't retire, we just don't hear anymore, We don't hear it mentally and we don't hear it physically, So,
What makes you happy?
life, just to be in this world, we know how precious it is, how fragile it is. Over the years, watching people that we grew up with and loved, suddenly disappear. My brother has a saying, you have the group photo and then just like that movie, Back to the Future, you see one person leaving and, so experiencing that really puts a real sense of reality in our world, working with so many great artists like touring with Prince and then one day you just turn on the TV and he's gone, and all those major experiences that you had with him throughout the 4 years we were hanging with him, you can't believe, like, you wouldn't think he would be the last person, So sometimes paying attention to how fragile life can be, every day I wake up, I'm happy, I'm grateful.
Yeah. Yes. Well, tonight you're going to also be playing with Alex Bognan.
Yes. We go way back.
Yeah. How did you guys get together?
Well, we actually first met in Boston in 1979, I think it was. And he was at the School of Berkeley, and he played in an R&B band up in Boston. He had come from Switzerland, and was going to Berkeley School of Music, but he was playing with a group called Margot Thunder and Intrigue, which was a very popular R&B group in the Boston area.
Okay.
And from that time on, then he went on the road with different people like Freddie Jackson. And when my time came to sign my first record deal in '86, he was part of Freddie Jackson's band. And my first album had done so well, I had to put a band together. And I called him, I said, hey man, I'd like you to be in the band, my keyboard player. And that's how it all started. And because he was being featured in my band, eventually the same label, EMI, signed him because he was on the road being featured and performing, and he was a great talent. So.
And what year was that again?
That was in '87. '87 was my first tour as a solo artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Wow.
and he was my keyboard player.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you guys have stories.
We have a lot of stories. Yes.
Good.
Yeah. A lot of good road stories.
We may have to talk about some of those tonight before we actually do the show when we go backstage.
Sure.
And what we do here at the festival is a part of Berks Arts. It's about education.
Yes.
So make sure that you go on and donate, and make sure you go buy some great merchandise as well, because that helps to support. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear the show.
All right.
I can't wait to see you do your thing.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for joining us, too.